So we will be discussing two hormones that are often confused and sometimes very hard to distinguish without correct understanding. So today we will be dealing with our FSH, our FSH and our LH. I'm just going to write it out just for understanding. So our FSH is basically our follicle stimulating hormone, and our LH is our luteinizing hormone. So if I spelled anything incorrectly, we're just trying to get our marks. Sorry about that. All right, so often we hear things like it's in the word, like it says follicle stimulating hormone. That's what it does. And honestly, I don't get it. I still don't get it. So let's bring it a little bit home. So we are doing female type hormones. So what's the number one thing females are known for? Makeup. So let's see if these two hormones can make sense if I just think of a makeup analogy. All right, so let's brainstorm. What are some of the main things that are currently in a female's makeup box? So let's go. What do you think? Drop it down in the comment section. Let me know. All right, so foundation. And even though some don't like to use it, it honestly should be there, is concealer. All right. Or, I don't know, people call it a highlighter. So, now we have it looks like lipstick, but it's a highlighter. Listen, I'm old school. A concealer. All right. So, we can kind of already see that if that helps us remember. So, let's start there. Okay. So we're going to start off with our follicle stimulating hormone, which we're going to see as foundation. So foundation, again, is the first thing that happens. So it's the first thing. So it starts up the makeup. So basically, it's going to start up also in the body. All right. So it'll be the first one to kind of be released, right? So I'll do in a little diagram so you kind of understand, all right? So it's the first thing to kind of be released. So that's the first thing. So the first one to be kind of released. And again, it's going to go into the ovaries. So again, it's going to go onto our face. So it's going to go onto the ovaries, directly onto face. So onto face. Right? And again, it starts the groundwork, right? So basically, it's doing the behind the scenes or behind the makeup work. So you can understand the layers and layers that are going to come after the foundation. So basically, it's the groundwork, right? So it basically grows and matures. Okay, so in a makeup terminology, it'll be our groundwork. So it'll be the one that does all the work underneath, the one that's going to ensure our face really looks good. So another way to remember it is the foundation that starts the hype. So there it is, FSH. It's the foundation that starts the whole thing. Okay, maybe we understand follicle stimulating hormone now. It starts it up, so it's the first one to be released. It's going to be directly on the face, so it's going directly into the ovaries from the anterior pituitary gland. And it's the groundwork, so it's going to grow and mature the egg. All right, so we know that this one is the foundation that's going to start it. Okay, so if it's the foundation that starts it, then why would I use a concealer? So a lot of people say, is to, bring out the cheekbones, make my face. So basically, it pops. It allows areas of your face to pop. So if we think about it, then it's going to allow what to pop? What would be popping in the ovary? So think about it. It pops. So therefore, it will do what? It'll allow think about it, the mature egg too also pop. So it will release the follicle, okay? So release or pop the follicle. So basically the follicle is just like the egg, right? But you must also remember that the concealer is literally what is going to last throughout the day. That's going to keep our look in place. So another thing that we need to remember is that it then brings in something that we kind of often forget, which is the corpus luteum. So another way to remember this one is concealer, right, basically gets the corpus luteum, but the L in luteum reminds us that it was luteinizing hormone. So it's just a play on words. So just remember that we have a C, which is a concealer, but C means corpus luteum, but the L of luteum means luteinizing hormone. So either way you remember it, luteinizing hormone, L is the L in corpus luteum, the C in corpus luteum was the concealer, which again went over the foundation, which was again the follicle stimulating hormone. All right, so LH, another way to remember it is that it launches. So it launches. There's the L, luteinizing hormone. It launches the egg, or again, it launches your look. All right, so let's do a little bit of a summary. It was quite a lot, quite quickly. All right, so let's start it. Both of these are coming from our anterior pituitary gland. Okay, both of them are coming from the anterior pituitary gland. One is called the follicle stimulating hormone. So basically, this is our foundation. All right. So our foundation will basically mature the egg. So this one acts directly onto the ovary. This one will mature the follicle. So we'll use the word follicle because we've used it above and some people get confused, but the follicle is basically that egg. All right. Then we have our LH, our luteinizing hormone, which again we can play on the word luteinizing hormone. We can play on the word corpus luteum, which is that L again. And yeah, so this is again our concealer, all right? So like our concealer or highlighter. Concealer, you know, spelling is a 0. So this is our concealer. So basically this allows our pop, right? So this then acts, as you can imagine, in the ovary to trigger or to release our egg. So basically it triggers, or the word we use is launches. Launches the egg. All right. And again, like that L corpus luteum, very important because we often asked that differentiating question of, okay, let's just write corpus luteum first, and then I'll just do a little bit of an add-on. So note that you'll either be asked what causes the corpus luteum to come out and which hormone is released. Okay, so these are often confused. So the cause of the corpus luteum comes from luteinizing hormone at ovulation. So ovulation. However, the hormone released from the corpus luteum would then be our progesterone. So that'll be our after party hormone. All right. So do we kind of see that? So let's draw a diagram. Let's really land this. Okay. So again, if we draw a little diagram to help us kind of remember, day 0, day 28, understanding midway would be like day 14. We understand this is our ovulation day. We know that both of them are coming out of our anterior pituitary gland. However, even though they both come out of the anterior pituitary gland, the concentration of one would be higher than the concentration of the second one, which would peak right at ovulation. All right, so I'm just trying to get both of them to 0. But the biggest thing and the biggest part that we really need to understand and note is that LH triggers ovulation. So it tips just at ovulation to allow the release of the egg. But LH matures, so it needs to really be at its highest just before ovulation, because it needs to peak, and then as it drops, we have the second one that kind of increases. So basically, female hormone, and the best way to remember it is a female type activity, which would be makeup, remembering that FSH is our foundation that starts up our hype, foundation that starts up our makeup, and LH would be our pupper, our concealer. It allows certain elements of your face to really stand out. But not only that, you must remember that LH has that corpus luteum, which, kind of rings around the rest of the female reproduction cycle. So yeah, let's see. Does it make sense now? Could you try a few questions and let us know, does the differences kind of make sense? Both coming out of the same place. However, their concentration slightly different at certain parts. But you see, both of them are finished by day 14, because thereafter the corpus luteum maintains it through progesterone. So yeah, I think that's something to jump into. Let's see the role of progesterone. Jump into another one. Let's go.